To the raw eye, what looks like that green colored coffee bean may look the same, but how do you go about choosing the right bean for the right blend and ultimately which leads to the premium coffee?
A good bean looks good but doesn't guarantee the best cup, right? But it is a start. So one of the ways of looking the other way around would be that something that doesn't look very good in appearance invariably means it's not a great cup. That means it's got a lot of defects in it, or it's got raw unripe berries in it, beans in it, let's say, or there are too many defects like blacks, or manufacturing defects or processing defects. That kind of coffee is something that you would physically first time look at it and say doesn't work for us. So a good, nice, clean looking bean is good, but finally whether that translates into what you want can only be determined by taste.
For that right and consistent taste of coffee for the consumer, the effort that has to be put in at every stage of the processing of the coffee bean, that really decides the taste for the consumer. Tell us about that effort that has to go in at every stage.
Somebody from the coffee trade once told us, we don't buy coffee to look at the bean. We buy coffee to drink it, right? So the key thing is that no matter how good a bean may look, there's no guarantee that it has the flavor that it promises to deliver. And the only way you can actually deliver it is when you brew the coffee.
So how's that segregation for that coffee bean done so that the taste on my tongue as a consumer does not change?
It starts with the green bean, like you rightly said. You start with knowing what is the screen size or the size, the bean size that you should get. So there are specifications. If it's in India, it's the Indian Coffee Board standards. If it is international coffees, there are international norms for what size of the bean should be, how many defect counts are permitted in that. And if it meets that, then comes the next part, which is, does it meet the sensory attributes of the coffee? So does it have the acidity, the body, the flavor? Does it have the right amount of bitterness, the good level of bitterness? So you look at a combination of these characteristics when you choose the quality that you want. Then the second part that comes in after the physical attributes is on the taste, which is, does the Arabica, for example, have the fruity note that we want? Does it have a bit of a floral kind of touch? Does it have the right acidity, which is a tarty sweetness? Does it have the right amount of bitterness that we want? Then in the chocolate, does it come from the Robusta? Is it the right amount of chocolate that you want? Because in India, 95% of the people will drink it with milk, right? So as a cappuccino or a cafe latte or a mocha maybe. So then in that case, it is how important is the Robusta in that to give you that chocolatey cup at the end of the day. Because once you put milk, usually these finer attributes tend to get muted a bit.
Okay, that's a lot of work for making sure that the coffee, the cup of coffee is perfect. What are the other steps that are also involved?
You look at the green bean primarily from two aspects. One is the physical aspect and the second is from the sensorial aspect, that is the taste. So from a physical aspect, you know, if it's Indian coffee, then there is the Indian Coffee Board standards that says if I'm buying a Plantation A, which is one of the grades in our blend, it must meet a certain grade specification. Second thing, it says how many defects are permitted in the coffee. So you're looking at the consistency of the appearance of the beans, followed by how many permissible defects are there that allow you to have it. Now, if you want a very specific profile, you could determine to your seller that I want only this many defects, which could be more stringent, and of course you pay more for it.
Thank you so much, Deepak, for taking out the time for us.